morning. Sarah, Steen, me, Reynolds, and Niels are going to tell you something more about the cultural and societal origins of the glass ceiling. We will talk about the glass ceiling, we will talk about the glass cliff, and we'll give you a specific example of a woman who had managed to break through the glass ceiling. We will also talk about, we will make a comparison of developed countries, and we will ask ourselves the question, are women overreacting? Now, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them, but please wait till the end of the presentation. Now, we will start, first of all, with a quote from the well-known Hillary Clinton. She said once, "I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I entered before my husband was in public life." Now you see, Hillary Clinton is a well-known woman who had managed to break through the glass ceiling, but she's rather an exception. Now, glass ceiling. What exactly is glass ceiling? It's an invisible barrier to prevent women or minorities to reach the top. And why it's called the glass ceiling and not, for instance, the concrete ceiling? Because women and the minorities can see the top position, but they are unable to reach it. And in like almost everything, you always have exceptions. As I mentioned before, you have Hillary Clinton, who is the 67th United States Secretary of State, and you have, maybe less famous, Catherine Ashton, who is the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy of the European Union. You can think of other examples, such as, for instance, Angela Merkel, but it's rather a minority. Now, Sarah is going to tell us something more about the prejudices.
As Raymond said, prejudices, or in other words, the social origins of the glass ceiling. We found two forms of prejudices, and the first form is women are less qualified than men in leader positions. This means that, for example, when two persons, a man and a woman, will apply for a job, that they will be more likely to hire the man instead of the woman. And then the second form is evaluating leadership behavior less properly when it determines that the leader is a woman. With this, I want to say that when a man and a woman needs to do the same task in a job, that the boss or directors will evaluate their task, the task of the man better, and yeah, maybe it's not like that, but they do it. So Steen is now going to give another example of a woman who needs to deal with the glass ceiling.
You certainly all know Steve Jobs, but does the name Clara Guimard ring a bell? Well, honestly, I didn't know who she was either, but Clara Guimard seems to be one of the few women who managed to break through the glass ceiling. And Clara Guimard is the CEO of General Electric France and the Vice President of General Electric International. Clara Guimard admits that this accomplishment was mainly based on luck, for it was believed that participation of women in leadership positions is very important. And that's why Clara Guimard never had to deal with negative female prejudices. Nowadays, Clara is one of the world's top corporate leaders, and she considers it's her mission to help other women faced with issues related to the glass ceiling. But Clara admits that this attempt to help isn't very easy. Some of her male colleagues still consider governmental help for women to climb the corporate ladder as a negative thing. Clara, however, remarks this is not humiliating at all. What she believes is worse is that most women can't even get access to this ladder. The most important societal origin of the glass ceiling, according to Clara Guimard, is related to the age. Most companies are looking for women for top managers who are in their early 30s, but in this life stage, most women want children, and having babies is difficult to combine with the top management position. And Clara faced a similar problem. When she was pregnant of her fourth child, she tried everything for her boss not to notice. Niels is going to tell us something about the glass cliff.
Next to the glass ceiling, there's another hurdle for women to take when they want to get to the managerial position, and that is called the glass cliff. Now, what is the glass cliff? That means that in times of crisis, when there's an increased risk of failure for a company, the possibility of women being appointed to leadership position arises. Instead, for in times of growth, women are not as favorably to be appointed to the position of manager. Even at the FTSE 100, that is a stock index in London, bad company performance leading up to the appointment of a new manager has shown that women are less favorably to get the position of manager. Now, on the contrary, men, they are considered as equally suitable for the position. The reasons why women seem to take the managerial position in times of crisis, there are several reasons for that. For instance, the quality of the opportunity. Not a lot of women gets the opportunity to reach to the top and to get a high position in a company. So when that occasion occurs, they want to grab it. Another reason why are the female threats, because sometimes there is need for an innovative style of leading, and when men don't seem to be giving the company the innovation, female managers could do that with their own threats. And then there's the stressfulness of the position. When men see that there is a lot of bad company performance, they find the position so stressful that they rather wait for another opportunity in their life and hand the possibility to take the position to women. Now, Steen is going to tell us something more about the cultural origins.
In our paper, we not only examined the societal origins of the glass ceiling, we also observed some cultural origins of the glass ceiling, and we found some interesting facts. If I ask you to compare developed countries or developing countries, whichever of the two do you think is more advanced when it comes to the participation of women in leadership positions? Well, we were surprised to find that in developing countries, women seems to break easier through the glass ceiling, and this is due to deeper and long-lasting cultural and societal norms in developed countries. In those developed countries, cultural perceptions and cultural stereotypes cause difficulties for women to full economic participation. In our paper, we not only compared the developing and developed world, we also compared those developed countries. In Australia, the participation of women seems to be hindered by the country's macho culture. In Europe, however, Scandinavian countries are more advanced when it comes to the participation of women. The impact of traditional societal norms is still considerable in some developed countries. In Germany, for example, the cultural aspect is the concept of the raving mother, which suggests women abandon their child if they go to work. In Spain, we found another cultural origin of the glass ceiling. Extended lunch hours and late leaving times are nearly impossible to reconcile with lives of working mothers. I have one big question, Niels. Are women overreacting?
Well, indeed, that's the question we can ask ourselves, and a study has shown that when this question is asked to men, they will probably answer, of course, they're all overreacting. The issue of the glass ceiling, this phenomenon, and the glass cliff is not really a gender issue, it's rather a suitability issue. Men and women all have their own traits. They have their positive traits and negative traits. And men will say, look, women have positive traits. For example, they're cautious, they are more immune to stress, and when there's indeed need for an innovative style of leading in company, and men don't seem to be able to give that to the company, sometimes a new wind is necessary. They also have negative traits, and that's why we are more preferred in times of growth. In times of growth, business in general and companies need risk takers because that's possible in times of growth, and also the soft approach from women in managerial positions when it comes to it is maybe a negative point for them. There is a controversy going along with women and men, and women like to call it a hostility issue, where men like to call it a suitability issue.
When you ask that same question to a woman, of course you will say that we are not overreacting, and for the reasons that we think family life is very important to us, and also maybe men say that there is no, that we don't talk about roles anymore, but there is, because when there were certain tasks that men don't do